starting with tourists going gaga for Japanese museum dedicated to poop. So the Huffington Post posted a video to a exhibit in Japan. It's Yokohama's Unko Museum. And you go home with a crappy souvenir because, like, right when you get there, man, I hate when these ads start playing immediately. So right when you get in, you sit on a pot and you somehow create a poop that you can take home with you at the end of the tour. But it's really like, it's not like a shit museum. It's way more like the emoji of poop. Are you familiar with Unko?
No, I'm not. Please say that they call it the Pooseum, because they missing an opportunity if they don't call it that.
You really need to contact the people that are running shit over there, because no, they did miss out on a golden opportunity there.
I know, man. So what do you mean they sit on a toilet? You go on a toilet and you take a shit?
No, it's so weird, man. Like, when I say it's more like the emoji poop, it looks like a twisty swirl. Like that like spiral poop that's like perfectly formed. It's more like a cartoon poop than a real poop.
Okay.
And you get into the first room and everybody sits down on a toilet, and it somehow, like, I think it pushes it up from the bottom and you get like this little souvenir turd. It's only going to be open for a couple more weeks, and they say the poop is artificial, nothing like what you would get in a toilet. It comes in a twisty ice cream and cupcake shape in all colors and sizes. So one of the quotes from a student visiting the park said, "The poops are colorful and come out nicely in photos. The shape is so round and cute." So it's just turned into like a more the emoji idea of what poop is, like a clean, sanitized pop version of poo.
I'm looking at a picture right now, and it's pretty much like not even like soft serve swirl. It's like literally like 3 discs stacked on top of each other.
Yeah, I don't know if that's what a healthy poo is supposed to look like, because if that's the case, I'm doing it wrong.
Yeah, if you got poos like that, I mean, you got like cancer or something, because there's some chunks that are like forming weird. That's weird.
You're toting around a moneymaker there if you can poo that kind of perfect shape. So, scatological jokes are popular and bodily functions discussed openly. A recent morning variety show and public broadcaster NHK featured tips on how to deal with farts. Visitors in the museum get a short video introduction and then are asked to sit on one of the 7 colorful non-functional toilets lined up against the wall. Music plays as a user pretends to poop. Then a brightly colored souvenir poop can be collected from inside the bowl to be taken home after the tour. Let's see. A ceiling-high poop sculpture in the main hall erupts every 30 minutes, spitting out little foam poops. It's just a weird thing, man. Like, of all of the things that people
Japanese.
are in, it is, right? Like, that's the big takeaway.
It's one of those things I'd totally go to this, though, because it sounds just fucking insane in the best possible way.
I can't.
I love stuff like this. That's just like, what the hell is going on, and why am I here? That's like some of my favorite situations to be in that are so weird that you're like, why did I come to this? Those are the best things to do.
Much more.
How much would you pay for a ticket to get into the Unko Museum?
Museum of Poop?
The Pooseum, yeah.
I mean, I wouldn't pay much. It'd be like $25 max.
Yeah, I was thinking like that sweet $15 to $20 range. I might be able to get on board.
Max $50. But if I'm already in Japan, there's so much cool shit to see in Japan. Am I really going to the Pooseum?
Yeah, of all of the weird, eccentric kind of like museums that you could definitely go to in Japan, I don't know how high this one up the list would rank, because it's such an interesting culture. Like that's something that, like, I think only in Japan or America would you actually have a museum dedicated to poops.
Yeah, I think in Japan it would be cutesy, like kawaii poop, and then in America it would probably be actual poop art.
Yeah. Like curly fry pubic hair sticking up out of the top of a real turd.
Or you remember the guy who he filled up a aquarium full of his own pee and threw a cross in it?
No.
So this was an art project. It was sold for like a shit ton of money too. It literally, he filled an aquarium with his pee and threw a cross in it.
Wow.
And that was, yeah.
Oh, this is not in the weird news, but it's a perfect time to toss it in there. I was thinking about it. There's not a lot of a conversation, but Belle Delphine is selling like little 1-ounce bottles of her bathwater for $30 each.
Is that the one who does the weird anime face?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay. That's the only thing I know about her, because that shit. Does she do porn as well?
So she does nudes, like implied nudes, a lot of like real provocative stuff. But
Because
she
I
said,
actually saw porn with a girl doing that. And it was, I don't know, didn't do it for me. She was like taking it and then looking like she was like having a stroke or something. And it was weird. It was a little
yeah.
off-putting.
I like on one hand, I want to dismiss her outright. It's like, goddamn, I wish I could just sell my own bottles of bath water for $30 a piece because it's easy being a cute girl. But at the same time, like she
Good on
posted,
her.
yeah, man, absolutely. She posted on Twitter or Instagram a couple weeks ago. If this post gets 1 million likes, I will start a Pornhub account. And of course, the shit fucking blew up. People are like, all right, we're gonna get Belle Delphine on Pornhub. This is great. And her first video uploaded, if I'm not mistaken, was I put Pootie Pie inside of me, and she's got like a printed out photograph of Felix, and she just eats it on camera, and people were completely pissed off about it. So she's doing this weird mix of like softcore porn and performance art and satire on the porn culture. Yeah, and trolling. It's like fucking props to her, man, really.
Honestly, the older I get, if you're making a buck off other people's stupidity, good on you.
Yeah, most definitely. So what, after this poo museum goes away, what's going to be the next popular museum in Japan, you guys? Let us know down in the comment section. We're real curious about what the next big trend of museum coming through is going to be. And on that, we're going to go ahead and move from one shitty story to another. There was a porta potty pit stop in Colorado that went horribly wrong in a wild scene caught on camera. It's a dash cam of a couple that are traveling up one of those like endless Colorado mountain roads. Mm-hmm. There's really nothing on either side of it. You're just like up in the middle of the freaking wilderness. And when I saw the video, I was like, yeah, that is exactly what Colorado looks like to me. I just now sent it to you via Twitter.
It's very rural Colorado. Like, that's the part of Colorado I stay the fuck out of.
Right. And and the only place that we actually went to. It looks treacherous by the pictures. So let me know when you pull it up.
Yeah, I'm watching the video right now. It says put the parking brake on, road tip. Weird shit does happen in Colorado too. Colorado's a weird place as well. It's not quite up to Florida levels, but it's definitely a place that I've seen some weird things like the Mad Pooper. Did you hear about that a couple of years ago?
No.
So there was a lady in Colorado Springs who would go jogging and just take a shit in the same person's yard every day. And the lady who owned the house started coming out and literally started spraying her with a hose all the time to make sure she's like, I got kids and you're like shitting on my lawn.
So she saw the person, she knew who was doing it. Wow.
And apparently the lady was like, oh, I just couldn't hold it. Like I couldn't hold it while on my jog. It made me have to poo.
In the exact same spot.
Yeah.
Over and over again.
Get some depends. Okay, I'm watching the video now. I'm seeing a car backed completely off a fucking cliff.
So they didn't put their e-brake on.
Oh,
the dude stops on the side of the road to take a piss or shit. I don't know exactly what he was doing. He went into this little boyette porta potty as these oncoming vehicles have their dash cam on and they see it just rolling away and just straight off the side of the fucking cliff. There's pictures of it afterwards. It is just completely fucking destroyed.
Oh, I bet. Doesn't shock me. Also, horrible drivers out here. They do dumb shit constantly. So it's not really surprising. Oh man, yeah, that thing he's not driving that again.
God, dude, he's lucky that there were people there to capture it. Like some of those roads in Colorado, you might not have somebody drive by for a while.
Yeah, there's rural parts of Colorado where there's no one for miles.
You just start walking like, well, fuck. Well, I guess people have cell phones, but even that, like, that's not even necessarily that reliable in a place like up in the top of the mountains where there might not be great cell service.
Yeah. He's lucky too. Like, there was no one in it, was there?
No.
God, like, what if his kids would have been in it or something?
Yeah, or his dog or just anything. Yeah, that's fucking
like
crazy.
His wife, or, you know what I mean? Like, he could have killed someone.
Oh, yeah, that was an expensive bathroom break. I've definitely been there before. I had one time, I was coming home from Subway when I was the manager on the beach, like, years ago. I was probably in my early 20s, and as I'm driving home on this road, it was called 399, very, very rural road. Not a lot of street lights on the side of it or anything, but I had to piss so bad. And I stopped the car, left it running, didn't even plan. I mean, I'm just jumping right out to get back in to go, jump out, take a piss, go to open my car door up. Lights are still on, everything. It's just parked on the side of the road, fucking lock the doors. So I'm stuck on the outside of my car running. And mind you, this was back in the early 2000s, I had a cell phone, but I think it was trapped inside my car as well.
Yeah, that was back when no one carried it in their pocket constantly.
Right. Yeah, for sure. And the next person that happened to pass me was a state trooper or a police officer. He was just like, what's going on? I was like, oh, you're not going to fucking believe this, dude. Can I use your phone? And he let me call my mom. I had to wake up my mom at 11:30. I was like, yeah, I'm going to need you to bring the spare key down here.
My dad once, when we were kids, we go to Walmart, and to go some grocery shopping. And we're in there forever because my parents take forever to grocery shop. Literally, we're probably in there almost 2 hours. It's ridiculous. So we leave and we come out. And my dad's car has just been keys in, running the entire time we're in Walmart.
Oh, God.
In New Mexico. I'm like, the fact that this wasn't stolen is just unreal.
Yeah, dude, no doubt.
Yeah, and I don't know. My dad also hit my mom with a car, which one time we'll have to get to that story.
Oh, see, and these don't even crack our embarrassing lists. That pissing and locking myself out of my car, that's so far down the list of most humiliating things I've ever done.
I think that's because we don't get very embarrassed, so that's why that list was hard.
Yeah, it's pretty fair. So moving on to the next story. Most of these are just funny little clips that I saw, but this one really topped the list of probably my favorite thing on the internet this week. And it ties nicely into the People Are Terrible podcast because it was about 2 or 3 shows ago that I had made a George Michael reference in regards to your 5 o'clock shadow, which I do not have yet. I'm missing it. But I talked about the song Careless Whisper. I'm like, oh, it's the jam, the saxophone song. Well, this teacher, father, is learning how to play the saxophone. So he took it on the road and found a cow field. And he brought his saxophone out there to serenade these cows. And they fucking loved it, dude. They were so into it. So the internet is over the moon for an Oregon dad who's gone viral for serenading a herd of cows with some sweet saxophone jams. Quote, my parents are such goofs, they drove out to the backwoods so my dad could play the cows the song he's been learning on the saxophone. And he plays a little bit of Careless Whisper, and I can't remember what the second one was, but, film is a magical medium. For all I know, the people behind him have got a handful of a cow's favorite fucking food. I don't know what that would be. Grass, I guess, but they're surrounded by grass. I don't know, maybe they've got a cow whistle that's similar to a dog whistle that attracts them. But these cows, the second he starts playing, they all start looking over at him what's going on over there? And then they come to the side of the fence and they're just straight up watching him like it's a fucking performance. It's the craziest thing.
At first, I thought when you said he was going to go out there, I thought he was going to get attacked by a bunch of cows, which, now I do watch in the video. They do walk up. They're probably just curious. They're like, what the fuck is this noise?
Yeah. It seems like it would be a good way to, a good hunting strategy. You get a fucking assault rifle and you play the saxophone. Granted, cows, you're not going to have to.
I was going to say, I think for a good hunting strategy for cows is to walk up to the cow and shoot the cow.
Yeah, they're pretty trusting. And those are some pretty cows. Those don't look like the kind of cows that you turn into steak. I don't know.
No, the prettier the cow, the juicier the steak.
The better the steak. I didn't even think about that. They do look like a very distinctive kind of small cow. They're not black and white like a lot of cows. They got kind of a mule color, but they look into it, don't they?
Yeah, no, they do. They look pretty happy about it.
Who knew?
Maybe they should just play that shit at slaughterhouses, and that way they go out on a high note.
Yeah. And speaking of which, we'll go ahead and move on to the next topic. Well done. Man goes under the knife to turn himself into the real-life parrot man. Now,
Ooh,
this isn't
Parrot Man.
unusual. We've talked about what was it, the fucking tiger guy and the lizard guy.
The guy who tried to look like Red Skull.
Yeah, I remember that one too. He was probably the gnarliest of all of them. But the parrot guy, he did some pretty intense body modification to accomplish this look. And to be honest, if it didn't say he's trying to look like a parrot, I would not have a clue what he was going for.
Parrot Man. I'm looking up pictures of him. Parrot Man, plastic surgery. Does he just look like a freak?
Yo, yeah, dude, he got his ears cut off. He got tattoos on his face that are the color of the...
Oh yeah, I would never guess he looks like a parrot.
No, dude, it's like, I don't know. But then he got the tattoo dyed into his eyes, which basically they stick the ink like a needle really like past the first membrane of skin, and they inject it in between two layers of skin within the eye itself. And it's super fucking dangerous, could make you go blind. He's cut off his ears, which has dramatically altered his ability to hear as well. So he's like partially deaf, probably partly fucking blind, looks like a fucking freak. But, you know, he's like, it's my body and people should be able to do what they want with it. I never thought about the negative consequence, or I probably wouldn't have gone through with it. So, like, I mean, where do you weigh in on that?
Well, I think not thinking is this guy's specialty. So,
Yeah. Yeah.
Here's my thing: is do what the fuck you want. Also, we're gonna do what we want and say you look like a freaking idiot on our show.
Yes.
Here's my. On a serious note, I think you have to have something mentally off with you to go that extreme. As someone who's covered in tattoos, and I understand, you know, wanting to make yourself more beautiful and all that through your standard of beauty. I get it, but to like cut off your ears or cut off your nose or do any of these extreme things, I can't help but think people say it's only for me. I think it has to be for some sort of attention, you know, some sort of, when you're going out and getting weird looks, like you enjoy that sort of attention for whatever reason. But yeah, cutting off parts of your body are not normal.
Yo, all you have to do to look like a weirdo to me is just walk around with parrots in general. Like, you don't need any of the tattoos or anything. Like, just be the parrot guy and you're
Put
weird
a parrot
enough.
on one shoulder and an iguana on the other. You're the weirdest fucking freak in the city.
There's always, like, I live on the beach, and well, not on the beach, but I live in a beach community, and there's always an iguana person, and there's always a parrot person, and everybody, like, you know, tourists come through and they're like, oh wow, look at the bird. So there's definitely the attention element of it. I 100% agree with you there. People will always say that it's for them, and maybe there is a kernel of truth to that. I mean, you obviously wouldn't go through with it if it's something you were totally against, but at the same time, I think a big part of it, I think a big appeal of it is the way that people react to it. So I don't know what I would like diagnose it as, but I definitely think that it's something that is it's something psychological where they want to be seen, you know?
What if you had to do plastic surgery to look like an animal? What animal would you do?
Well, Caleb, I'm glad you asked.
You're like, I'm prepared.
Yeah, actually, I mean, I would try to keep it like in the same ballpark. Like, for example, no matter what you do with your body modification, chances are not all that great that you're going to come out looking like a fucking parrot. The tiger guy got pretty close. The lizard guy, they've done some pretty cool shit with that. But, like, why not just, like, let's do the Planet of the Apes fucking monkeys from the original movies where, like, we can do it. We can just, like, get a coconut and cut it in half and put it on our face.
And just, like, cheek implants and...
Yeah.
Mine was monkey. I'm like, I already got the giant freaking monkey ears. So I'm already halfway there.
Yeah, dude. I mean, and as a human, we're already like we're getting close to the mark. So like with a little bit of facial or like a little bit of hair implants on your face,
and a little nose.
Yeah, you'd be good.
That's what I was thinking too. Let's do Planet of the Apes.
So I mean, I guess I would go with like a chimpanzee.
I think your first thing is I would go actual Planet of the Apes. Be like, can you make me as close to an actual Planet of the Apes?
Yeah, I'm into it. That Yikes! Yeah, what a gross looking thing. All right, we'll move on from Parrot Man. He's got enough of our attention. So this is one that I got a kick out of because it is really on the nose. But Disney apparently had to go back and delete the casting couch fake blooper from the end of Toy Story 2 amid the hashtag Me Too movement. I didn't remember this from the movie, but apparently they're like the gold prospector. He's in a box. Yeah, at the end of the Toy Story movies, they'll do like little fake bloopers or whatever. Well, he's talking to these Barbie twins, and he says, "So you say you're identical twins? I can get you in the movies and make you famous. I'll make a couple calls," or something like that. And they turn the box around, and then the prospector realizes that he's being watched by the camera and kind of just moseys out of the frame. Pretty funny scene, but I guess with what happened with John Lasseter, they were just like, yeah, maybe not a good look.
I don't know. I can see not putting it in a new movie, or if it were coming up in Toy Story 4, editing that scene, you know?
Mm-hmm.
But like going back, I hate when people go back and just change their old movies. I don't even like it when it's Star Wars and they just change it and you can't even get the original version. Or Steven Spielberg removing all the guns from E.T.
It's super stupid.
It's stupid. Like, these were products of their time, and you want, for better or worse, you want to be able to go back and see these things.
If there's something that we don't like, we just want to like pretend it didn't exist, like brush it aside. Kind of the whole thing with the casting couch in the first place. This was not a new phenomenon. People acted like it was a revelation when, oh my God, Harvey Weinstein was using his power as a producer to have sex with young naive actresses. Well, yeah, that's what they fucking have always done, you know?
You know that. It's like, oh, you just in general. Oh, you mean men use power to get sex and women use sex to get power? Oh yeah. My God, what a revelation.
Yeah.
We know that.
And it feels silly to like go and try to course correct or like rewrite history to where that's not a thing. Like, why not make a joke about it? It's fucking ridiculous. I have to imagine that it just left a particularly sour taste in Disney's mouth specifically because of the John Lasseter thing. So I understand their motivation, despite the fact that I don't agree with why they did it. I get why they did it, and it is it's actually a really big problem that I have, and it ties nicely into this next story with studios going back and people going back and trying to change things in order to appease audiences. Like Netflix, this is the next story. Netflix pledges to cut back on smoking depictions in original productions after a group blasts Stranger Things. So Hooper, the sheriff of Hawkins, is a smoker and a drinker and portrayed as that not necessarily being a good thing. He's kind of a fucking mess. That's what did I say? Did I call him Hooper? It's Hopper. Anyways. So I guess some sort of special interest group attacked Netflix for having characters smoke in this program that has children in it, and you know kids are watching, and Netflix is like, we're sorry, we're not gonna have smoking in our stuff anymore. And it's just so fucking frustrating, dude. It's like, back to what you were saying a minute ago, and to me it's like context doesn't fucking matter anymore. Nobody's glorifying smoking in the show.
It blows. So first of all, I haven't finished Stranger Things. I watched about half of the first season. It's not really a show for kids, is it anyway?
No.
So be a fucking parent. And don't let them watch that. That's your responsibility, not Netflix, first of all. Second of all, people in the 80s smoked. Plus, like you said, the context is that it's not necessarily a good thing. He's not, he doesn't have his life together, and they kind of position that way.
Yes.
Context matters. You can make a movie about Nazis that is most movies about Nazis are very, very anti-Nazi. Just because Nazis are in them doesn't necessarily mean that it's a pro-whatever movie. You can make a movie with smoking that's an anti-smoking movie. You can make it a pro-smoking movie. And it's people now we have, like, we want a clean speech where you can't say this, you can't do that, regardless of context, which sometimes saying those things and doing those things are actually for the agenda that you want, but you're still stamping them out. I just don't understand it.
It's amazing how many times we've like kind of gone over similar talking points about this contact or this conversation, and it's like, this is a show, and it's debatable whether or not it's for kids. I mean, the cast is primarily children. Yes, there's violence in it. Yes, there's adult content, adult language in it, and no push to stop the murder, no push to stop the violence. Nobody gives a fuck about violence. Like, all the violence you want, as long as there are no sex and drugs in it. Like, it is the most backwards fucking American sensibilities, and it is like, it would be one thing if Hopper, excuse me, he's kind of the hero of the show, but a lot of his actions aren't seen as heroic. He's
like an anti-hero.
Yeah, and he's a fuck up. He's not the kind of person that people aspire to be, or maybe he is, but none of the kids in the show smoke. It is so stupid to me that we are selective about the things that matter, and it's like any portrayal of smoking or any portrayal of drinking is like, well, drinking's bad and we don't want to, influence the youth, but nobody has shit to say, and they shouldn't. They shouldn't. I'm not saying, hey, you guys should pick up your pitchforks and go for this, but like, people are getting fucking murdered on the show every couple of scenes, every couple of episodes.
Well, we do this thing with art where cinema particular, where someone gets killed or violently murdered, we're like, well, that's just fantasy, and you tell your kids that's fantasy, that's not what people do. But then when someone smokes a cigarette, you can't also tell a child like, hey, you shouldn't do that. That's the role of a parent. Netflix is not the child's parent. The government is not the child's parent. How about this? You be an adult and you raise your fucking kids. That's one of my weird pet peeves. I get it. It's hard. It's stressful. I understand that. But you can't sanitize the world. You need to prepare your kids to go out into a world that's pretty rough. And making sure that they never see smoking is not the way to do it. Because guess what? There's going to be kids in school who offer them cigarettes. Mm-hmm. That's a lot worse than whatever Hopper smoking cigarettes on TV.
And it's, we'll come back around to this conversation with your topic, but I do feel like it's like we shouldn't get to a place where like art is beholden to the social and society. I'm not the kind of person that says keep politics out of my art. I understand that's a little bit ignorant to even say. However, I do feel like it's like, can't we separate like the conversation? It's so simple. You say, well, son, back in the 1980s, a lot more people smoked. They weren't aware of the adverse health afflictions that it could have on you, and it was very normal in households to smoke. Obviously, we as a society have evolved past this. We've progressed. So many less people smoke now because we learned of the dangers of lung cancer and the chemicals in smoking. So while these characters did it, they were coming from a place of not knowing, and now we have the advantage because we're smarter than that. Conversation over,
I think you just did a public service. You should snip that out and send it to all these groups. Say, hey, since you don't want to talk to your kids, Jeremy just did it for you.
Yeah.